Then you smiled at me like only you know how. And you changed me into what I'm feeling now. Don't you know that you're the reason that I say I keep falling more and more in love with you. Ooh, baby, baby, I can always count on you.
Go, chop, chop, chop. Thank you, Senior.
Baby, baby, you can always count on me. I'm the one who never needs to count the days. You see, I will tell you, don't cry. Some things I just can't control. I don't know why. As you have me, I understood. I'm so lucky, there's so much that I got good. One more time, I think I gotta let you know. Every day I give you all the love you show. Baby, baby, I can always count on you. No one's on your own, 'cause of all you do.
And welcome, everybody, to our final edition of Chop Weekly for 2022. Chris Carlin alongside Rutgers Hall of Famer Eric LeGrand, who joins us as he does each and every week. The Scarlet Knights getting ready for their final game of the 2022 season this coming Saturday down in College Park, Maryland, against the Terrapins of Maryland. Eric, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, Chris. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well, getting ready for Thanksgiving. We hope you all are doing the same and looking forward to a terrific holiday this week. And first and foremost, we just have to thank you. What an amazing job the fans did all season long in supporting the Scarlet Knights throughout 2022. 3 sellouts at SHI Stadium. The new Rutgers Boardwalk was a smash hit, and we cannot be more thankful for all the support that you provided to the Scarlet Knights this year. It was a great atmosphere throughout the course of the year and so much for fans to enjoy.
It really was. It was great to always see the Rutgers fans come out. And then you have the whole boardwalk experience and everything that's going on outside this stadium, the tailgating to leading up into the stadium, where it has been an absolute amazing environment. The light show that PJ Mullen and his crew put together is just all around something that you look forward to every Saturday. And it's just so cool to see. And even getting to hear, from some of the Rutgers people saying that the fans from other schools coming in were like, this is amazing. What a great tailgate scene and atmosphere.
The game day experience at Rutgers really is second to none. And you saw that throughout the course of the season. Unfortunately, a loss to Penn State the other day, and now Rutgers sits in 4-7, not where you want to be because you can't get to bowl eligibility at 6 wins with just one more game left. Listen, we know what happened last year. That was one of those things that just happens every couple of years. So you never know, but at the same time, disappointing nonetheless to not be able to find a way to get to 6 wins this season.
Yeah, definitely wanted to get to that 6th win, and obviously going up against the Penn State team, you know how good they are, and then when you make mistakes, they really hurt you, because that first quarter and a half of that game, Rutgers was really battling. They were fighting, and they were showing that they were, up to the challenge. And then obviously a few things go wrong, and really good teams, they capitalize on those moments, and that's when things get out of hand. But like you said, you never know, Chris. Obviously, it happens every few years, but we'll see what happens with the bowl eligibility if they can get a win over Maryland and get to 5-7. But anyway, you still want to go out with a bang and finish the season going into the offseason with a win.
We're going to hear from Coach Schiano in his press conference leading up to the game against Maryland here shortly. Eric, I think about the defense in the first half of that game when you have turnovers that really cost you. I mean, you hear what Coach has kind of preached a lot during the year. There's such a small margin for error right now. They play very well in some aspects of the game, but these little mistakes, as you alluded to, were things that really good teams take advantage of, and that's what we saw the other day. A special teams touchdown, 2 defensive touchdowns for Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, you scored 21 points without your offense being on the field. I mean, that's a good day for the opposing team. It's Scarlet Knights put themselves in a hole, and you get an opening field goal for, go up by 3, and then you let up a 100-yard kick return for a touchdown. Thought it would take the momentum out of the stadium, but Rutgers bounced right back with Cruikshank taking it all the way up the field, which also ended in a Gavin touchdown pass to Shameen Jones to go up 10-3. So the atmosphere was there. I mean, everyone was still excited. But then, as you mentioned, there's 2 turnovers on defense were killers, and then there was one that even came back. That was a pick 6 that came back, but I believe Scarlets held them to 3 on that possession. But like you said, after a while, when you play good teams, they start to take advantage of those moments, and that's when things get out.
The one thing we did see the other day, Eric, though, yeah, the one thing we did see, though, the other day was a lot of the seniors showing out on senior day. Aaron Cruikshank, Shameen Jones, as you mentioned, with a touchdown. And, of course, Adam Korsak, who becomes the all-time NCAA leader in punt yards the other day. What an amazing 5 years for him on the banks. We saw a lot of the seniors step up the other day.
Oh, man, we're going to miss that. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Every time he gets back there, he just looks like he's so much better than everyone on the field. He knows exactly when to kick the ball. He baits it all the way and runs like he's going to fake it, and then he boots it, and it somehow travels 50-something yards in the air. It's just amazing to see how he's able to do what he does out there, and what a way to go out. Breaking the record. Obviously, it's a pretty wild record to break, but hey, he deserves it because of all of what he's done here on the banks for the past 5 years, as you mentioned. Also, another guy that you mentioned just now, Chris Cruikshank stepping up, and then Shameen Jones, because they've been through a lot, those 2 guys, the ups and downs. Obviously Cruikshank coming in from Wisconsin as a transfer to torn ACL last year. So those guys have been through the ringer, and to be able to have a performance like they did was great to see.
And this week you get a chance to get down to Maryland. It has been a team that, for whatever reason, over the years, there has been just wild games between these 2 teams. We've seen big comebacks in games. It always promises to be an entertaining affair, to say the least.
That's for sure. I mean, that's what you want. Obviously, a lot of implications are in this game when it comes to recruiting purposes, and obviously them being very not, probably close to school that is around this Northeast area to us. So there's a lot of things that go into this game that you're creating this rivalry. Both teams came into the Big Ten at the same time, so you want to continue to build that rivalry as it goes. And games like that are what make it back and forth, high-scoring games, comebacks, disappointing losses, upsetting losses. This is what it's all about. So there'll be another opportunity for the Scarlet Knights going against this Maryland team they're playing pretty well. We see what they did against Ohio State last week, which was pretty impressive.
Well, let's hear from the coach, Greg Schiano, on this matchup.
Right. Maryland, a really talented football team. Coach Loxley's doing a very good job. He's put together a group of players and coaches, I think, that really understand who they are and what they want to do. So it's going to be a huge challenge going on the road, going down there to College Park. And you look at them offensively, they're very talented. It starts with the quarterback. They're big on the offensive line, good receivers, run game. Defensively, they're very big on the front, and they mix it up, do some 3-down stuff, some 4-down looks. Linebackers, tough, can run. Secondary, corners are really, really good players. Safeties are physical guys. Special teams, they'll challenge you in just about every area. So it will be a big test, but one that we're excited about going down and tackling it. So I'll try to open up for anything I can help you with.
I guess just when we look at their quarterback Tagovailoa on film, I mean, how do you feel like he compares to last year? And is there any area that you feel like he's really made, considerable improvements in?
Well, I thought he was good last year. So he's just a little bit better version of who he is. He gets a lot of attention for his mobility and his ability to create plays, but I think he's also a very good pocket passer and field general, runs their offense with a great deal of confidence. It doesn't look like there's anything that he's not comfortable with in what they're doing. So he and Coach Loxley have a long relationship, and I think he's at the stage in his career where things are clicking for him.
Can you just give us injury updates on a few guys? Do you want to go one by one, or do you want me to just?
You can go one by one. That's good. Then I won't forget.
Ireland Brown.
We're gonna have to wait and see. He's gonna give it everything he got to play in this game. So we'll see how it goes.
Dion looked like a game time decision. I don't know if he played at all. How is he?
Yeah, it was. It came down to warm ups, and he just didn't feel like it was good enough to go.
Kess, he didn't dress, I think, for the fourth time in 5 games, something like that.
Yeah, he's got an issue with lower extremity issue that he's just not quite there yet.
And 2 guys out for the year, Aaron Young, Rene Conga. Can you clarify it all?
Yeah, Rene Conga got hurt in the Michigan State game, if you remember, and he's had surgery and he's done for the year. Lower extremity injury, and Aaron Young is done for the year. He's going to have a procedure here at the end of this week. I don't think it's going to be a major one, but they got to go in there and just take care of something. So yeah, it's 2 guys that were, Aaron was coming on. He finally starting to look like himself again. So that's a shame. And Rene Conga was really coming on. I mean, he was having one of these kind of seasons, very productive and showing what he's going to be. But just kind of push it down the road a little bit, and he'll heal, and he'll be well.
Follow up on that. You talked about, I think, 11 surgeries after the game on Saturday. Is this, I know football's a violent game and all that, but is this a more than you've ever dealt with? How's it compared to other seasons that you?
Yeah, this is about as many as we've ever had. Yeah, in 35 years. I've not seen it. But you know what? That's the way it goes. Some years it's that way, and I think it usually balances itself out. So we'll hopefully do a year where we don't have a bunch of those. But it is what it is. The guys that are playing are giving everything they got, and they're doing a heck of a job in their preparation. We're not quite there where we want to be. But as I told you guys Saturday after the game, we're a lot closer than maybe some people think. When you watch our game as a coach, there's some, I say this, and I'm not sure guys truly understand what I mean. When every game takes on a life of its own, we had plenty of opportunities in the first, I don't know what you'd say, 20 minutes of that game to have a substantial lead, not a lead at home. We just didn't do it. So when we can do that, then we'll start winning those type of games. But until we do, it doesn't do me any good to stand up here and explain it away. It's our job to coach it, and it's our players' jobs to execute it. So we certainly both have to do that better. But I'm encouraged. I really am. I look at what's going on. We got a lot of good stuff going on. So got to go win this game.
Preparation wise, is there anything you'll do differently to address maybe those areas where those miscues were? As you said, the margin for error is very thin.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna, like you always do, Bobby. You evaluate the tape, you see where your issues were, and then you really try to determine first. Like I think what a lot of people want to do is they want to just fix the behavior right away. Well, we're going to fix the behavior, right? And I say behavior, the execution. But my question always to the players and the coaches is why? Like, why did we do it? We went into the game thinking we knew how to do it and we would do it, and then we didn't. Okay, so why? And it comes down to a couple things. Either we didn't coach it well enough, so there was a misunderstanding. They didn't learn it well enough, and there was a misunderstanding. Or they didn't execute it because of why, right? Was it nerves? Was it beginners, going through it the first time? Was it the opponent? They're just, that guy's too good. I can't do it against him, right? So we really classify things as we evaluate. And someday we can sit down and I'll show you. When a play is not efficient, right? So we have all these efficiency models. When a play is not efficient, there's really only a few reasons. We call it scheme, which is bad by us, right? We put a scheme out there that didn't serve the players well, right? Execution, right? Player just didn't execute his job well enough, or mental. We made a mistake, right? And you really try to break it down into those 3 reasons. If it's an effort issue, shame on us. You shouldn't be on the field. We don't have effort issues, very rarely. But it boils down to one of those usually. And some of the reasons why, like that's telling you what caused it, but then the why did that happen? That to me is coaching, getting down to the bottom of why. And then how do we verbalize it better? How do we show them better on video? How do we teach it better in person with hands-on? That's what we have to do. So we do that every week. And that's what I'm talking about, the continual growth of a program. But sometimes you feel like you don't have enough fingers to hold up the dike, and sometimes when you get good, it's like, oh, that was good. We did pretty good. Hey, we got to get these two things cleaned up and let's go get it. Right. So we're not quite there yet, but we'll get there.
That's what you've gotten out of the wide receivers, kind of overall this season.
Probably inconsistent, I say, would be we've made some really good plays. And then we've done some things that any fan wouldn't notice unless you're really a coach or a player. Things as simple as if I'm going to run a 9 route, which is a go route, I have to run it a certain way. If I'm going to run an 8 route, I got to run it. If I'm going to run a 6 route, I got to run those routes really technically sound, because all those things, depths, angles of entry, right? Angles once you make the break, because that all ties hand in hand with the quarterback, and the quarterback ties all hand in hand with the protection. So if I have to wait for you to get there, well, the protection better hold up. Otherwise, I'm going to get pushed off the spot, or I'm going to get sacked, even worse. So, yeah, that's we need to be better this Saturday at that position group for sure.
Do you consider Maryland a rival? And in that regard, where do you think your program stacks up against Maryland in terms of the big picture in this division?
I think they're a Big East. There's a flashback. They're a Big Ten East team that is local, right? So they're either the closest. They're probably closer than Penn State, really. So, do I consider them a rival? We've had some good games. We won one, they won one. So I think it could become one. I don't think we have enough history yet for it to become a rivalry. Let it. Again, I always say this, that has to happen organically. There's got to be recruiting battles. There's got to be games that are, back and forth. And that kind of happens over time. We just haven't been in this league long enough. And quite honestly, two things. We haven't been in the league long enough. We haven't been good enough to make that happen. That'll happen over time.
It's been a little while since we've asked you about Reggie Sutton. I guess, how is he in his recovery, and is there a chance that he could be a factor going into the next season?
It's still up in the air. Yeah, he had, I've been around a lot of injuries in 35 years, as you can imagine, right? He had one of the roughest, toughest injuries I've ever seen. And he is an incredible warrior. I mean, that's all you can say about the guy. I see him work. Think back, that happened Michigan week 2021. So that's what, week 4, right? So we're in week 12, week 13 with the bye a year later. And this guy is still coming in every day trying to get it right. I pray for him. I really do. I hope that he can make it back, because I know how badly he wants to. But I think it's safe to say it's still up in the air.
More of a big picture question, but the transfer portal opens, the new window opens in 2 weeks. Do you feel where you guys are at as a program, as a staff, as an athletic department, equipped to both retain players that are currently on the roster and be competitive in the mix for the top players in the market to bolster whatever you have on the roster?
Well, I think that's an acute issue for sure, right? I mean, you're looking at right in the eye right now. December 5th is when the portal opens. I don't know. I know we have some things going on, but it's going to be a critical part of the continued growth of our program. But it's not just our program; it's any program. Do I think that this program's a little different in the way that we care for these guys and the way that there's an atmosphere in this building? I do. But I also think that if you have a young man who has an opportunity to make some substantial money, it's not easy to say no to. So I think we have to be able, I don't know if we have to match people dollar for dollar, which even sounds funny to say, right, at a college press conference, but it is what it is. We had plenty of opportunities to avoid this issue as a NCAA and as a group of coaches, administrators over the years, and we failed. And now the legal system is telling everybody how it's done. And it didn't have to be that way, but that's where we find ourselves. So I'm really hopeful that the Rutgers faithful will get behind this because we need it. We're going to work our tail off as we always do in recruiting and evaluation. I think our staff does as good a job as a better job than anybody in the country at really working at it and uncovering some guys that maybe people weren't aware of for one reason or another. We've had a lot of, I always call them stories. This guy came here. This is a story. It didn't just go, linear high school, go sign your. We always have. It always seems like we have a little bit of a story because our guys dig really deep, and we're going to have to keep doing that. But once you develop them, you need to be able to keep them, and I feel good about that. But you can't ever in this environment, this landscape, you can't take anything for granted. You really have to stay on top of it. But we will do that. All right. Thanks, guys.
Interesting answers there at the end from Coach Shiano on what lies ahead in a couple of weeks here with the transfer portal opening up and all of the intricacies now, Eric, that are involved in NIL. Pretty frank in assessing the situation, needing Rutgers Nation to help step up and to support that because it is going to be a big part of the future here, not just in bringing other guys in, but also retaining your own players.
It's the wild, wild west right now, Chris. And as Coach said, they had many years to get this right. The coaches administration and NCAA, and they didn't. And now NIL has came up, and we need Rutgers Nation to get behind, our players and, support them because things could get crazy with some of these schools coming in and trying to, pick players from here and there. And the way that the transfer portal works now, there's people all over the place. So it can benefit you and it also can really hurt you at the end of the day. So, I'm sure Coach Yan, like he said, and his staff, they're definitely on top of it. They have their ideas on what's happening, but you just never know still.
But Eric, let's call it what it is. It's a bit of a scary proposition. When you look at what the situation is and where we are, there's a lot of good players on this team. And Rutgers is a place that develops players exceptionally well. And you want to make sure that you're in a position to be able to see the payoff of developing those players.
Absolutely. You don't have as much confidence as you used to have back in the day because if you transfer somewhere, then you had to sit out for a year and things like that. But now you get transferred somewhere, you can make some money, you can play right away. So as you said, Rutgers develops a lot of guys and they get them ready for that next level. So their coaches now even look at that recruiting wise. I'm sure they rather take somebody who's been developed than a high school senior that's coming out this year. So it trickles all the way down to how many players are being recruited now compared to ones that are just going to other schools and poaching players from there.
As Coach said, it is strange that in a college press conference, that's how you put it, but that's where we are at the moment. And, it's funny, you talk about that developing and other places, the schools, Rutgers even feeling like there's a couple of positions where you bring in a developed player, it can really help. So that's going to be a big part of it. And the need to raise money for NIL is certainly a big part of it here moving forward. But right in front of us right now is certainly this final game of the year against Maryland. And that will go a long way. If you can play well this week, it'll certainly help things out. But Eric, from what Coach said this week, what are we looking for here from the Scarlet Knights against Maryland in the season finale?
Well, he definitely he honed in on it. He wants to see more out of his seniors in that wide receiver position. They need to make more plays. They need to make it easier for their young quarterback who's developing and learning. When you have a young guy like Gavin Wimsatt who's out there, you got to be able to make good plays for him and give him confidence, and that's going to be their job to do that this week coming up. Obviously, they're going to have to come up with a game plan on defense for Tagovailoa. It's not going to be easy to be able to stop him, but the wide receivers have to make plays for their young quarterback and get him going and be able to put some points on the board.
I know a lot of people are planning on making the trip, only a couple-hour ride down to Maryland, about 3-hour ride down to Maryland to check out the game this Saturday. It is a 12 noon game on Big Ten Network and, of course, on the Rutgers Sports Network as well. We're hoping you'll all join us then and even make the trip down south, Eric. It's just one of those opportunities, that final chance to enjoy your collegiate career and get a chance to run out of that tunnel for one more time. For some of these guys, some of them will have chances down the line. elsewhere, but you want to make it your best one.
Absolutely. I got to play down there in Maryland back in 2009. I think you remember that, Chris, in the rain game,
Yep.
and came out with a win there. That was a great game for us. So yeah, you make the trip down there, you support the team, and there's nothing like being able to sing the alma mater to your fans after the games in an away stadium. It's just truly just an incredible moment, and after a hard-fought victory, and the Scarlet Knights have that opportunity to do that again on Saturday.
Absolutely. And let's hopefully we get an Antonio Lowry pick six or a Jersey
Yeah.
Joe Martinick game.
I got a funny story about that, actually, because I'll never forget. I started that game, ran down there on kickoff, first play of the game, pick six, Antonio Lowry, then run down there on kickoff again, and then lined up, and I thought I was going to die. It was an insane. I couldn't even celebrate the moment because I was so tired.
That's awesome. E, we'll talk to you this Saturday. Looking forward to it. One final game. It's been fun here on Chop Weekly all year long.
Always a pleasure, Chris. Always a pleasure.
Once again, the game this week, 12 noon against Maryland down in College Park. Again, just a trip down the turnpike and not all that far on Saturday morning. Hop in the car, get down there, and support the Scarlet Knights in their final game of the regular season as Rutgers looks to pick up their 5th victory and close out the year on a high note. For Eric LeGrand, I'm Chris Carlin. Thanks so much for joining us on Chop Weekly today and throughout the year, and your support of the Scarlet Knights all year long.
I was feeling down, feeling kinda blue. Can't say I was feeling much like spending time with you. And you smiled at me like only you